तो नमस्कार दोस्तों, वेलकम है, स्वागत है आप सबका आज के गाता रहे मेरा दिल शो में अपने दोस्त अपने होस्ट समीर के साथ। और आज दोस्तों मैंने कहा था कि हम सलील दा पर एक शो लेकर आने वाले हैं। और देखें सलील दा पर शो हो और उनकी फैमिली मेम्बर हमारे साथ मौजूद हों, ख़ास तौर पर उनकी अपनी बेटी, तो क्या बात है। तो क्या कहानियाँ सुनने को मिलेंगी आपको, क्या क्या जानेंगे आप सलील दा के बारे में उनकी अपनी बेटी आलोका जी की ज़ुबानी। आलोका जी, वेलकम टू द शो, इट्स एन ऑनर टू हैव यू।
Namaste, Samit ji, and thank you so much for inviting me to talk about my father. And also, very warm welcome to all of you tuning in.
थैंक यू आलोका जी। वैसे यू शुड कॉल मी जी, आई थिंक लेट्स जस्ट स्टिक विद आलोका एंड समीर, क्या ख्याल है? इज दैट ओके विद यू?
Okay, I think that's a good idea.
Let's take the
Very good.
formality out and let's really get into Salil Da, our favorite music director. Not only a music director, he was a story writer, a poet, and he had so many different personalities. So I want to hear more from you. How would you describe your
Sure.
dad?
So, Samir, he was, he had this multifaceted personality, and each of these, what you call the skills or talents were all rolled into one. So, I
Hmm.
can't really separate one from the other. So,
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
he composed the tune, he wrote his own lyrics in Bengali,
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
know,
Hmm. Hmm.
and the stories that he wrote. Uh, I mean, everything put together, and not only just in arts, even science. I mean, he was a, an early adopter in technology. So,
Hmm.
I mean, I just feel amazed. And after all these years of his passing, and when I look back, he was truly a genius in the true sense of the word.
And absolutely true. And you said that he was everything rolled into one. I remember him actually mentioning that he was confused about who he was, whether he was a music director, and he wanted to be great at everything. He wanted to be great at composing, writing music for films, doing background scores, and he wanted to excel at all of that. So truly, truly, truly wonderful to hear something like that from him.
Yes, and as a father, he was such a loving uh, he modern in his approach. Like for all his daughters, he wanted us to be independent, to be well educated, and
Hmm. Yeah.
so he introduced us to like nature, love for animals, patriotism,
Hmm.
so many things. I mean, like a father would for any father would for their children.
So Aloka ji, let's talk about obviously he got success, and we'll talk about all the different films that he's done, some wonderful work. But his biggest success, I think, was Madhumati. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I do. It was so successful that I remember as a child, the street singers and the jugglers, the madari,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
who would come with monkeys and a bear. they would they would be also playing his songs from Madhumati, and it was amazing to see that you know
Yeah, yeah.
and I've seen the craze, the fanfare. I've seen the craze of people after that movie was released.
There was so much romance in those songs. The melodies were haunting. सुहाना सफ़र और ये मौसम हसी, टूटे हुए ख्वाबों ने, दिल तड़प तड़प के कह रहा है अभी जा. And I remember we used to sing घड़ी घड़ी मेरा दिल धड़के हाय धड़के क्यों धड़के. uh,
Huh.
it just blows my mind how one film can have so many. And not to forget दैया रे दैया चढ़ गए ओ पापी बिछुआ.
And I think his background, where he grew up, we'll talk about that later, in the northeast, in Assam, in the tea gardens.
Yes.
And I think, the tribal music and all definitely did have an influence. You can make that out
Hmm.
from, those songs, that touch.
So which is your favorite song from Madhumati then?
It's difficult to choose, but I think I like Zulmi Sang Aankh Ladi.
जुल्मी संग आंख लड़ी, क्या बात है, क्या बात है. Love that song, absolutely. Aloka, we can, when we talk about Madhumati, of course, Salil da की तो बात करते ही हैं, but you can't not talk about Shailendra.
Yes, and I recently, mentioned this that they were like brothers from different mothers. They were
Mm-hmm.
so bonded together. They had the same ideologies,
Mm-hmm.
and the same. Their friendship was so deep, and it. This is what I've heard from his son Manoj,
Mm-hmm.
that Shailendra ji wanted to meet my father. This was, in the very beginning during their IPTA days,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and he went out of his way to meet with my father. And those days, my father was very active in politics, and he used to be in hiding, to avoid arrest. So
Oh
he
my
told
God. Okay.
Shailendra ji that
Mm-hmm.
why do you want to work with me, because I can get arrested anytime, and just by association, even you will get into trouble, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, and of course, most prolific of all writers with Shailendra. All of his compositions, his early days, Shailendra was the main lyricist.
Yeah, शैलेंद्र जी of course wrote all the मधुमती songs. फिर उसके बाद में उसने कहा था जागते रहो, then
Yes,
नौकरी, and we'll talk about all of those movies. But one of the song that I really like is O Sajna Barkha Bahar Aayi from Parak.
yes. And before we play that song, I wanted to tell you that again, Parak, just like Do Biga Zameen, was
Mm-hmm.
based on my father's story. It was a satire, and Shailendra ji actually did the screenplay for that. So they again for this film they worked very closely together, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And somehow, the interpretations or the way the lyrics were fit into the tunes
Mm-hmm.
composed by my father, it was seamless. And I think their relationship went beyond that professional. It was a
Mm-hmm.
very personal thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, unfortunately we lost Shailendra at a very when we were very small, so I can't remember the details, but I just knew that that bonding, when he used to come for rehearsals to our house, and that environment, of that small
Mm-hmm.
sitting group.
Since we talked about Parak, तो क्या ख्याल है ओ सजना हो जाए.
ओ सजना ओ सजना बरखा बहार आई रस की फुहार लाई अखियों में प्यार लाई ओ सजना बरखा बहार आई रस की फुहार लाई अखियों में प्यार लाई ओ सजना तुमको पुकारे मेरे मन का पपीहारा तुमको पुकारे मेरे मन का पपीहारा मीठी मीठी आंगन प्यासे प्यासे मेरे नयन तेरे ही ख्वाब में खो गए ऐसी रिमझिम में ओ सजन प्यासे प्यासे मेरे नयन तेरे ही ख्वाब में खो गए सावली सलोनी घटा जब जब छाई सावली सलोनी घटा जब जब छाई अखियों में रहना गई निंदिया ना आई ओ सजना बरखा बहार आई रस की फुहार लाई अखियों में प्यार लाई ओ सजना बरखा बहार आई रस की फुहार लाई अखियों में प्यार लाई ओ सजना
ओ सजना बरखा बहार लाई, क्या बात है. Again, one of it's a gem, absolute gem, Aloka. So, all these songs were obviously being created in your own house. There must be some creative process that he went through. I would love to hear what that was, and were you a part of it? What did you see?
So if I look at this entire process from a child's perspective,
Mm-hmm.
I can say it was so much fun because when my father would compose a tune either on the piano or on the harmonium, he would have his assistant Kanu Ghosh, he would have a rhythm player, and of course Shailendra would be there. Then after the song was penned, they would invite the singer. So I've had the very good privilege of seeing Lata Mangeshkar, Mohammad Rafi, Mukesh ji all come to our house and rehearse these songs before the recording actually formally took place.
So you had the best seat in the house watching these legends
Yes, and
who we can only dream of.
as a child, Samir, I didn't even realize that I was witnessing history in the making. You know, I mean,
Absolutely.
today when I look back at those days, and he never prevented us from being around. So whether it was a rehearsal going on, or whether I attended some of his song recordings or background music recordings,
Hmm.
he would actually like us. He would take our opinions also, even as children. How we liked something. Mhm.
So which songs can you remember when Lata ji would be in your living room singing? Do you have any specific song that you remember, or Mukesh ji, or Rafi Saab, or Kishorda, anybody?
It's difficult to pinpoint that, but since you mentioned Lata ji, and I think I was around the time I was born, Do Biga Zameen was made,
Mm-hmm.
and this is one of my favorite Lata ji songs, that is Aja Riya, from Do Biga Zameen.
Yeah, I love that.
But but today's show we could even play Dharti Kahe Pukar Ke,
Another gem.
right?
You can't go wrong with Do Bhiga Zameen. Absolutely. So
Yes,
let's
absolutely.
listen to this song and come back and talk.
गंगा और जमुना की गहरी है धार, आगे या पीछे सबको जाना है पार। धरती कहे पुकार के, बीज बिछा ले प्यार के, मौसम बीता जाए, मौसम बीता जाए,
मौसम बीता जाए, मौसम बीता जाए,
मौसम बीता जाए, मौसम बीता जाए। कहानी छोड़ जा, कुछ तो निशानी छोड़ जा, कौन कहे इस ओर तू फिर आए ना आए।
मौसम बीता जाए, मौसम बीता जाए,
मौसम बीता जाए, मौसम बीता जाए।
तेरी राह में कलियों में नैना बिछाए, डाली डाली पायल काली तेरे गीत गाए, तेरे गीत गाए। अपनी कहानी छोड़ जा, कुछ तो निशानी छोड़ जा, कौन कहे सो तू फिर आए ना आए। मौसम बीता जाए, मौसम बीता जाए,
मौसम बीता जाए, भाई रे, नीला अंबर मुस्काए, हर सांस तराने गाए, हाय तेरा दिल क्यों मुरझाए। मन की बंसी पे तू भी कोई धुन बजा ले भाई, तू भी मुस्कुरा ले।
मन की बंसी पे तू भी कोई धुन बजा ले भाई, तू भी मुस्कुरा ले।
अपनी कहानी छोड़ जा, कुछ तो निशानी छोड़ जा, कौन कहे इस ओर तू फिर आए ना आए रे, भाई रे,
You know, Aloka, I sense, I think this is where his Western influence came into reality. Would you agree with that?
You're absolutely right, Samir. In fact, this was based on, the Russian Red Army March song.
Aha.
And there are many other songs of his also, which has the influence of Polish and, other East European influences.
Mm-hmm.
Interestingly, not only the folk influence was there, but also he was influenced by Western classical music.
Yes, in fact, I remember reading about this that when he was a child growing up in the tea gardens of Assam, he was really influenced by Mozart, Tchaikovsky, and he, in fact, one time even
Beethoven.
Beethoven as well. And he said that he thinks of himself as Mozart reborn.
Yes, he said that. Yes. Uh,
How did
in fact,
he get exposed to? I'm curious about this. I didn't mean to interrupt. So, he grew up with the tea gardens, and I believe your grandfather used to do plays for the tea garden workers and all that. How, in that atmosphere, did he get access to Western classical to be influenced by it?
yeah, my grandfather was a doctor in the tea gardens, and this was during the British rule.
Right.
When his British manager went back to the UK, he gifted my grandfather a whole set of Western classical records.
Ah.
And my father used to listen to them. He would try to analyze, the movement, the structures, the chords, and things like that. And that's how he taught himself. He was very much self-taught. And he, in fact, his first professionally, he began as a flautist. He played for, the music directors of that time, like Timir Baran and R.C. Boral. He's played for them too.
Aloka, what song do you want to play it now?
I thought we could play from Chaya the song Itna Na Mujhse To Pyar Bada, sung by Falak and Lata.
Love that
This was
song. Love that
inspired,
song.
yeah. This was inspired by Mozart's 40th Symphony in G minor. Yeah, and beautifully penned by Rajendra Kishan.
Yes,
this song.
इतना ना मुझसे तो प्यार बड़ा कि मैं एक बादल आवारा.
Yes.
Lovely song. So let's listen to it. And Talat Mahmood, one of my favorite singers of that time, absolutely. The Mozart symphony that inspired the song.
इतना न मुझसे तू प्यार बढ़ा कि मैं एक बादल आवारा, कैसे किसी का सहारा बनूं कि मैं खुद बेघर बेचारा।
इसलिए तुझसे मैं प्यार करूं कि तू एक बादल आवारा, जन्म जन्म से हूँ साथ तेरे, है नाम मेरा जल की धारा।
इतना न मुझसे तू प्यार बढ़ा कि मैं एक बादल आवारा,
जन्म जन्म से हूँ साथ तेरे, है नाम मेरा जल की धारा।
मुझे एक जगह आराम नहीं, रुक जाना मेरा काम नहीं। मुझे एक जगह आराम नहीं, रुक जाना मेरा काम नहीं। मेरा साथ कहाँ तक दोगी तुम, मैं देश विदेश का बंजारा। इतना न मुझसे तू प्यार बढ़ा कि मैं एक बादल आवारा, कैसे किसी का सहारा बनूं कि मैं खुद बेघर बेचारा।
इसलिए तुझसे मैं प्यार करूं कि तू एक बादल आवारा, जन्म जन्म से हूँ साथ तेरे, है नाम मेरा जल की धारा। तक साथ चलूं तेरे, जब तक न कहे तू मैं हारा। इसलिए तुझसे मैं प्यार करूं कि तू एक बादल आवारा, जन्म जन्म से हूँ साथ तेरे, है नाम मेरा जल की धारा।
इतना न मुझसे तू प्यार बढ़ा कि मैं एक बादल आवारा, कैसे किसी का सहारा बनूं कि मैं खुद बेघर बेचारा। क्यों प्यार में तू नादान बने, एक पागल का अरमान बने। क्यों प्यार में तू नादान बने, एक पागल का अरमान बने।
अब लौट के जाना मुश्किल है, मैंने छोड़ दिया है जग सारा।
इतना न मुझसे तू प्यार बढ़ा कि मैं एक बादल आवारा,
जन्म जन्म से हूँ साथ तेरे, है नाम मेरा जल की धारा।
तो आलोका, since we played Talat Mahmood, one of my other favorite songs of Talat Mahmood is रात ने क्या क्या ख्वाब दिखाए, एक गांव की कहानी, again penned by the great Shailendra.
It's a beautiful song. Speaking of Talatji, I mean, he was such a soft-spoken gentleman. And I remember, we had so many get-togethers, either at our house or at his house. As children, we played with his children, his son and his daughter. And, his wife was an excellent cook. So just so many memories come, flooding in.
So let's listen to एक गांव की कहानी का ये खूबसूरत गाना, रात ने क्या क्या ख्वाब दिखाए।
सौ जाल बिछाए, आंखें खुली तो सपने टूटे, रह गए गम के काले साए, रात ने क्या क्या ख्वाब दिखाए। हमने तो चाहा भूल ही जाए, वो अफसाना क्यों दोहराए। हमने तो चाहा भूल ही जाए, वो अफसाना क्यों दोहराए। दिल रहे रह के याद दिलाए, रात ने क्या क्या ख्वाब दिखाए, रंग भरे सौ जाल बिछाए, आंखें खुली तो सपने टूटे, रह गए गम के काले साए, रात ने क्या क्या ख्वाब दिखाए। छुपाए चलो जहाँ किस्मत ले जाए। दिल में दिल का दर्द छुपाए, चलो जहाँ किस्मत ले जाए। दुनिया पर आई लोग पर आए, रात ने क्या क्या ख्वाब दिखाए, रंग भरे सौ जाल बिछाए, आंखें खुली तो सपने टूटे, रह गए गम के काले साए, रात ने क्या क्या ख्वाब दिखाए।
रात ने क्या क्या ख्वाब दिखाए, ब्यूटीफुल सॉन्ग। और अलोका ना कि तलत जी ने गाया था ये गाना, बल्कि ये गाना उन्हीं पर फिल्माया गया था क्योंकि वो इस फिल्म के हीरो भी थे। वी हैवंट टॉक्ड अबाउट किशोर दा, हालांकि किशोर दा डिडंट डू टू मेनी सॉन्ग्स विद सलील दा, लेकिन आई लव हिज नौकरी का जो गाना है, छोटा सा घर होगा बादलों की छाँव में था, and there are some other songs as well. So, do you remember much about Kishore Da?
Yes, I do. I remember his first wife, Ruma Ghua Thakur, his son Amit Kumar, who was a
Mm-hmm.
childhood friend.
Mm-hmm.
And with Kishore, my father had a very, I mean, the relationship went back right to the early 50s, actually. In fact, Naukri was also early 50s. And
54,
there were
yes.
some,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, there were some songs of his starting from then, like in Parivar. It's quite a funny song, Kuएं में डूब के मर
कुएं
जाना,
में डूब के मर
बस
जाना, yeah.
शादी मत करना, that song.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Then Munna Bada Pyara from Musafir.
Mm-hmm.
Then those very funny songs in Half Ticket, in which again Kishore was also,
He was
the main
acting.
actor in
Yeah.
that movie.
Mm-hmm.
And in the later years, Annadata, and the song Guzar Jai Din Din,
बिल्कुल
and then of
बिल्कुल.
course Mere Apne. So
Mm-hmm.
the relationship has continued throughout the years, even though there are not too many songs, surprisingly. And I remember, Kishore used to tell, Kishore Kumar used to tell my father that I have nightmares about you. I have this thing that, Kishore, I want you to sing a song. And I would say, I would be running and you would be running after me. And I would be saying that, no, I don't want to sing your song because you're going to make me go high and low and high and low. I don't want to sing your song. You know,
Kishore
it's
Da
very funny.
was Kishore Da was a character. You know, I had a full 2 hour show with Amit Da, and in which he
Huh.
talks about Kishore Kumar, and yes, he definitely was a character. So everything that you said fits right in his personality. You know. So Aloka, you know, you mentioned Koi Hota, which was Mere Apne, which was Gulzar Saab ka likha hua tha wo गाना. And then
Yes.
नौकरी का छोटा सा घर होगा बादलों की छाँव में आशा दीवाने मन
Yeah.
में बंसरी बजाए. So let's listen to
Yeah.
this one, and we'll come back and talk more.
छोटा सा घर होगा बादलों की छाँव में आशा दीवानी मन में बंसुरी बजाए छोटा सा घर होगा बादलों की छाँव में आशा दीवानी मन में बंसुरी बजाए हम चमकेंगे तारों के उस गाँव में आँखों की रोशनी हरदम ये समझाए चांदी की कुर्सी पे बैठे मेरी छोटी बहना चांदी की कुर्सी पे बैठे मेरी छोटी बहना सोने के सिंहासन पे बैठे मेरी प्यारी माँ मेरा क्या मैं पड़ा रहूंगा अम्मी जी के पाँव में मेरा क्या मैं पड़ा रहूंगा अम्मी जी के पाँव में आई रे आई रे आई रे आई रे छोटा सा घर होगा बादलों की छाँव में आशा दीवानी मन में बंसुरी बजाए मेरी छोटी बहना नाजों की पाली शहजादी मेरी छोटी बहना नाजों की पाली शहजादी जितनी भी जल्दी हो मैं कर दूंगा इसकी शादी अच्छा है ये बला हमारी जाए दूजे गांव में अच्छा है ये बला हमारी जाए दूजे गांव में आई रे आई रे आई रे आई रे छोटा सा घर होगा बादलों की छाँव में आशा दीवानी मन में बंसुरी बजाए कहेगी माँ दुल्हन ला बेटा घर सूना सूना है कहेगी माँ दुल्हन ला बेटा घर सूना सूना है मन में झूम कहूँगा मैं माँ इतनी जल्दी क्या है गली गली में तेरे राज दुलारे की चर्चा है गली गली में तेरे राज दुलारे की चर्चा है आखिर कोई तो आएगा इन नैनों के दांव में आखिर कोई तो आएगा इन नैनों के दांव में आई रे आई रे छोटा सा घर होगा बादलों की छाँव में आशा दीवानी मन में बंसुरी बजाए हम चमकेंगे तारों के उस गाँव में आँखों की रोशनी हरदम ये समझाए
So Aloka, you know, one other landmark film I think was Kabuliwala. Tagore's story, written in Bengali, remade in Hindi as Kabuliwala. Any remembrances of that? Because one of my favorite songs, "Ae Mere Pyare Watan, Ae Mere Bichhde Chaman, Tujh Pe Dil Kurban."
Yeah, I do have some things to say about this. Firstly, about Prem Dhawanji, who penned the
Who
words for
wrote?
that song,
Yes.
and his association with my father, you know, like he contributed, collaborated, by bringing in regional flavors, to songs. For example, "Ae Mere Pyare Watan" is, the Pathan or the
Yeah, it's
Afghani
got that
flavor.
Afghani flavor.
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
in Jagte Raho, there was this Bhangra, which was the very first Bhangra featured in any Hindi film.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry, I don't remember the words of that song. Um, my father had founded this Bombay Youth Choir, and again, Prem Dhawanji was an active participant in that in those events.
Mm-hmm.
And talking of that song, I cannot forget Manna Dey, who sang those. I mean, Manna Dey was such a close friend, and he had such a sense of humor. And my father also. I mean, when the two were together, the laughter, the jokes, that was something that I always remember. And
Manna, yeah.
on a personal note, the title song of that movie, Kabuli Wala Aya, which was sung by Ranu Mukherjee,
Mm-hmm.
Hemant Kumar's daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And I had sung in the chorus of that song. I also participated in the dance of the dream sequence in that song.
है मेरे प्यारे वतन, है मेरे बिछड़े चमन, तुझको दिल कुर्बान, तू ही मेरी आरज़ू, तू ही मेरी आबरू, तू ही मेरी जान। ऐ मेरे प्यारे वतन, है मेरे बिछड़े चमन, तुझको दिल कुर्बान। तेरे दामन से जो आए, उन हवाओं को सलाम। तेरे दामन से जो आए, उन हवाओं को सलाम। चूम लूं मैं उस जुबां को जिस पे आए तेरा नाम। सबसे प्यारी सुबह तेरी, सबसे रंगी तेरी शाम, तुझ पे दिल कुर्बान। तू ही मेरी आरज़ू, तू ही मेरी आबरू, तू ही मेरी जान। माँ का दिल बन के कभी सीने से लग जाता है तू। माँ का दिल बन के कभी सीने से लग जाता है तू। और कभी नन्ही सी बेटी बन के याद आता है तू। जितना याद आता है मुझको, उतना तड़पाता है तू। तुझको दिल कुर्बान, तू ही मेरी आरज़ू, तू ही मेरी आबरू, तू ही मेरी जान। छोड़ कर तेरी ज़मीं को छोड़ कर तेरी जमीन को दूर आ पहुँचे हैं हम, फिर भी है यही तमन्ना तेरे गलों की कसम, हम जहाँ पैदा हुए उस जगह ही निकले दम, तुझको दिल कुर्बान, तू ही मेरी आरज़ू, तू ही मेरी आबरू, तू ही मेरी जान, है मेरे प्यारे वतन, है मेरे बिछड़े चमन, तुझको दिल कुर्बान.
So Aloka,
Go ahead.
there are so many other films that I'd like to talk about, but I don't think we'll have the time. माया, जिसमें तस्वीर तेरी दिल में, ब्यूटीफुल म्यूज़िक, क्या मेलोडी थी, क्या हॉन्टिंग मेलोडी थी. उसके बाद वी ऑब्वियसली कांट फॉरगेट आनंद के गाने, एंड देन रजनीगंधा, फूल तुम्हारे, and Yogesh Sahab. Actually, Yogesh later on wrote all of these songs for Anand and for Rajnigandha.
Yes, I mean, his latter films, Yogesh filled in the vacuum that was left by the passing away of
Shailendra.
Shailendra. Yeah, I mean, again, just like Shailendra ji, his, the way he would write the lyrics, he would understand the inspirations or the, motive or whatever you want to say. He did a fantastic job.
What's your favorite song of Anand?
I personally like all the songs, but Kahin Dur Jab Din Ghal Jaye has a special place in my heart,
And why is that?
Well, I remember going for the recording of that song with my mother, my sisters. This was actually recorded for a film that was being directed by Basu Bhattacharya, and that film never, took off. And the song was sold to NCCP, the producer of Anand.
Mukesh ji did an amazing job with this song, and it's a
In
haunting
fact,
song. Can never
Mukesh ji,
forget that.
yes, Mukesh ji was one of my father's favorite singers. Like, he felt the pathos in Mukesh ji's voice, was admirable.
He indeed was. And I always say, मुकेश जी की वो आवाज़ थी जो सीधा दिल तक पहुंचती थी.
Yes. Samir, before we go, I wanted to tell you that my father really encouraged and invited many musicians and singers to try to make their mark in the Hindi film industry. For example, Basu, Manohari, you know them. They were ace musicians, and then the duo turned, composers also. We have singers like Mitra and Dijen Mukherjee. In fact, the film Maya has a song sung by Dijen Mukherjee, "Ae Dil Kahan Teri Manzil," and with beautiful support by Lata in the background. So just wanted to tell you about those.
Aloka, thank you so much. This is, hearing all this directly from you, these wonderful stories and wonderful recap of all of these moments that you've seen in your life with the great Salil Da, along with Shailendra ji, along with all the other people that you mentioned. It's been refreshing. I really want to thank you for coming to our show and sharing all this.
कहीं दूर जब दिन ढल जाए, सांझ की दुल्हन बदन चुराए, चुपके से आए. कहीं दूर जब दिन ढल जाए, सांझ की दुल्हन बदन चुराए, चुपके से आए. मेरे ख्यालों के आंगन में कोई सपनों के दीप जलाए. दीप जलाए कहीं दूर, जब दिन ढल जाए सांझ की दुल्हन बदन चुराए चुपके से आए। कभी यूं ही जब हुई बोझल सांसें, भर आई बैठे बैठे जब यूं ही आंखें। कभी यूं ही जब हुई बोझल सांसें, भर आई बैठे बैठे जब यूं ही आंखें। कभी मचल के प्यार से चल के छुए कोई मुझे पर नजर न आए, नजर न आए कहीं दूर, जब दिन ढल जाए सांझ की दुल्हन बदन चुराए चुपके से आए। कहीं तो ये दिल कभी मिल नहीं पाते, कहीं पे निकल आए जन्मों के नाते। कहीं तो ये दिल कभी मिल नहीं पाते, कहीं पे निकल आए जन्मों के नाते। है मीठी उलझन बैरी अपना मन, अपना ही होके सहे दर्द पर आए, दर्द पर आए कहीं दूर, जब दिन ढल जाए सांझ की दुल्हन बदन चुराए चुपके से आए। दिल जाने मेरे सारे भेद ये गहरे हो गए, कैसे मेरे सपने सुनहरे। दिल जाने मेरे सारे भेद ये गहरे हो गए, कैसे मेरे सपने सुनहरे। ये मेरे सपने यही तो हैं अपने, मुझसे जुदा ना होंगे इनके ये साए, इनके ये साए कहीं दूर, जब दिन ढल जाए सांझ की दुल्हन बदन चुराए चुपके से आए। मेरे ख्यालों के आंगन में कोई सपनों के दीप जलाए, दीप जलाए कहीं दूर, जब दिन ढल जाए सांझ की दुल्हन बदन चुराए चुपके से आए।